And you know what that means? Articuno, Registeel counter, confirmed. There's no way they go for Surf first and then Skull Bash, and there it is, boom, Skull Bash. So is that 5 head? Probably not. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Ox here with another video. If you're new to the channel, we do upload Pokemon Go content mostly related to PvP, so please consider subscribing to the channel if that is of interest to you. And if you're a returning subscriber like Ian Chang, thank you for the support. So in today's video, we are finally taking another look at the double ice strategy, and I did purposely take my rating down to 2800 in order to try and see how fast I could get back up over 3000. We started at 2820, and in one day of sets, I got up to 3086. So for this challenge, we started at 2820. We did 6 sets. In those 6 sets, our worst score was a 3-2. Every other set was 4-1 or better. That brought us from 2820 all the way up to 3086. So double ice does still work within this meta. There are some new threats, but overall it still performs really well. Now, is this the easiest team to use? Probably not. It does have a pretty steep learning curve, mostly because it is an ABA line, which does perform well in this particular meta, but in general, ABA isn't the greatest line, so a lot of Articuno knowledge is required to make this team work. With that said, can this team get you to the top of the leaderboard? Probably not. It's probably not going to be that consistent all the way up to the top. However, is this team capable enough of getting you to legend? Yes, 100% this team can get you to legend. That is a guarantee, and I know a lot of other players who have adopted this team themselves. They've also hit legend with it, so it is a proven team, and I wanted to use it again this season to see what it could do. So the one major change you may notice on this team here is the Lapras itself. I did finally build a Shadow Lapras, and it is running Skull Bash. Now, do you need a Shadow Lapras to make this team work? No, you do not. You could definitely use a regular Lapras. Do you need Skull Bash? No, you do not. You could definitely use Ice Beam. Either of the movesets are fine. However, I did want to test out Skull Bash because I've already seen that the Ice Beam Lapras could work. I wanted to see how the Skull Bash works and the Shadow. And honestly, I actually really liked the Shadow Lapras, and I actually really like Skull Bash too. So if the team isn't working for you with Ice Beam, maybe test out Skull Bash. If you're seeing a lot of opposing Lapras and whatnot, Skull Bash definitely comes through clutch. And there were a lot of matchups I won purely because of Skull Bash. Also, a couple of matchups I lost from not having the extra bulk of the regular Lapras. And a key thing to note is that the Giratina matchup in particular becomes a lot more difficult if you're running Skull Bash and not Ice Beam. If you guys have any questions regarding this team, please leave them down in the comments section. I'll answer anything you guys have to ask. If you guys enjoy this type of content, please make sure you smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Leave a comment in the comments section down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And without any further ado, let's jump into the first battle right now. So initially my plan was going to be to show all 6 sets, just go through each battle, but the video would be well over an hour, so I didn't want it to be that long, so I decided instead to go sort of Caleb Pang style and highlight most of the matches going in order of the particular lead Pokemon, so there are timestamps below. We're starting off here with the worst lead you could possibly see, that is a Melmetal. So in this particular matchup, of course, you want to go just with the Articuno straight Icy Wind. Most opponents I find actually don't try farming down anymore. They don't want to take that chip damage, so they just decide to throw the rock slides right away. Get rid of the Articuno. Pretty much how you have to play it because you don't have an answer in the back. Now I come in with Giratina. This particular matchup, usually the opponent is always going to switch out of the Melmetal because 1, it's debuffed, and 2, by staying in with Articuno, they should realize immediately that I am super weak to Melmetal in the back. So when they stay in here like the opponent is doing, it tells me one of 2 things. Either 1, they're not aware that I'm weak in the back and I just decide to stay in with Articuno, which I think is unlikely at this elo range, or 2, they do not have a good answer for the Giratina. In this case, the opponent has a Gyarados, so they had a pretty good answer, but they probably don't have a second one, maybe, I'm not sure. Either way, they come in with the Swampert now once I swap into my Lapras, and this is a pretty winnable matchup for us at this point, so I'm going to go for the Surfs here. Against this Swampert, you can see how much the Shadow is doing there. It really chunks away, not only from the Surfs, but look at these Ice Shards absolutely destroying here. So I'm very excited to finally have this Shadow Lapras on the team. We do get a shield there, and at this point we should be able to farm down here once we shield. And then Lapras has an amazing matchup against Gyarados, so we just pretty much have to build up for the moves here. I'm going to throw the first Surf. Of course, we don't have Ice Beam, right? So can pretty much only go for Surf this particular matchup. No points to go for Skull Bash here. I'm going to get to 1 more Surf, We will survive this no matter if it's a Crunch or an Aqua Tail. I guess if it's Outrage or something, then so be it. But most people are running Crunch, Aqua Tail, so I throw the Surfer, then I'm going to immediately swap out into the Giratina, which left with energy. We have about 2 Dragon Claws here. The opponent has no shields. 1 Dragon Claw is enough to take it out. We win that game against the Melmetal lead. It's not going to be that easy most of the time because the opponent will swap out of that matchup. However, in this particular match, we did manage to take advantage of their mistake from staying in. So next matchup here, Giratina lead. This looks amazing, but this is a double steal in the backline. Very difficult. Opponent swaps out into Melmetal, right? So when they normally do this, I try to build up to the Icy Wind and then swap out, but as you can see, I wasn't able to do that. So I actually have to burn a shield there to keep the Articuno alive and bank the Icy Wind. I didn't even throw the Icy Wind there at the Melmetal, but with the chip damage from the Ice Shard, as well as the Melmetal going dry in energy from throwing the Rock Slide, I feel the Giratina could still come in here and win this without having to burn a shield. So we go for the Shadow Sneaks here. This is a very difficult match because the opponent is going to have a second Steel type in the back. There's no reason you ever swap into your hard counter Articuno unless you have a second one in the back. So I'm hoping it's like, well, it doesn't matter what it is to be honest, but I was hoping maybe a Scavalier, but I know it's going to be a Registeel. So here comes the Registeel, and this is why we have to keep the Giratina alive. I swap out, and remember, their Giratina swapped out immediately, so they have no energy. That's a key thing to note here. So I'm going straight for these Surfs against this Registeel, and we survived 1 Focus Blast, which is really nice. Going to go for another Surf right here. Look at these Surfs chunk away, but look at the Ice Shard damage. Ice Shard is really adding up against this Registeel. Gonna let this go down here. Keeping the Giratina alive was important for this right here. And remember, their Giratina has no energy, so we don't have to worry about them coming in and sniping us with a charge move. It can't happen. So they swap out, we come to Giratina, we have the Articuno here, so I'm going to throw the Icy Wind. This is going to debuff their Giratina, and storing that Icy Wind is pretty big, because now at this point, we could farm up a lot of energy here. I'll probably throw 1 more Icy Wind at this Giratina, but hit no bubbles, so I can commit to a straight farm down here. I want to do a little bit of chip damage, and then farm down completely. I want to have an Icy Wind ready for that Registeel. The Registeel's pretty low. If we get rid of this Giratina, then they're not going to be able to swap out, reset the debuff. Of course, my Giratina is in range of Flash Cannon anyways, but we do get off this Icy Wind here, which is going to be chip damage. That's what's important here, chip damage. So the Registeel here pretty much has to build up to 100 energy. They actually let the second Icy Wind go through here, decide not to shield it, and you know what that means? Articuno, Registeel counter, confirmed. We take a game against double steal. That is not easy at all. So 2 pretty difficult wins there in the first 2 battles we showcased. Next matchup, one of the best leads you could see again. This time I do not believe it is double steal, but look at this. The opponent swaps onto Swampert. And this is one of the most important things with this line. It is the Articuno lead play. You need to know when to stay in, when to swap out, when to throw a move, when to not throw a move. In this particular lineup, the opponent leads with a Giratina. Because we have a Lapras in the back, we want to keep Articuno in this matchup because it's winnable. And the important thing to know in this matchup is Articuno wins this in all shields, including the zeros, if it's even energy. So right here, a lot of people will shield this. That's a mistake. You do not want to shield here because you do survive. So let that go through, farm down, you win in the zeros. Don't give them a free shield for no reason. Melmetal comes in, unfortunately not able to get to that Icy Wind there, but it doesn't really matter because look at this, they have a Steel type. Now imagine if I brought Giratina into the Swampert when they swapped out. We'd be in pretty big trouble, right? Because we'd have no answer for this Melmetal after. You could bring the Lapras into the Swampert, that's for sure, but staying with Articuno is a bit more comfortable because you can win in all shields, including the zeros, and then Lapras could still beat Giratina. So opponent swaps onto Giratina here. This is where the double ice trap comes in. Lapras comes in. Now the thing here to note is that I'm running a Skull Bash Lapras, so it's actually not as dominant of a position as it would be with the regular Lapras running the Ice Beam. However, it's still a winnable matchup. I do like to build up to the Ice Beam anyways before throwing the Surf, just to ensure that they might shield or something, but the Surfs still add up and it's still a winnable matchup regardless. Melmetal comes in. This is where the Shadow is really nice because these Surfs absolutely chunk, and in fact the opponent is so afraid of these Surfs that they're burning the shields right now. These Surfs are probably doing more damage than the Shadow Sneaks, to be honest, at this point, but with 2 shields in hand and the opponent's forced to throw energy here, this is GG's. There is no way a Melmetal is going to beat a Giratina with 2 shields when they're pretty much at even health here. So we probably just need a couple of Shadow Claws and maybe 2 Shadow Sneaks here, probably even a Dragon Claw, but this game is basically over at this point. And we are not shielding. At this point, we do burn a shield because, of course, Rock Slide wouldn't KO, but it'd be very close. We could have probably 2 shield flex there, but really no reason to do it here. You just want to go for the wins, right? So we take the win there, and that is the Giratina leads, both a good Giratina lead and a bad one. RedAshDK here in the next matchup. Let's see what kind of lead we have in this particular matchup. We got Articuno into Talonflame. Okay, so Talonflame, another Pokemon that a lot of people have concern about. Talonflame actually isn't a big problem in the lead. Yes, it beats Articuno, but Lapras and Giratina both beat in the back. I like instantly swapping into Lapras anytime I see a Talonflame lead. So, Umbreon comes in, going for the Skull Bash. They almost never shield the Skull Bash, and this is absolutely amazing for us because now our defense is up, our attack is up just from being a Shadow alone, and the defense went up from the Skull Bash, our attack's up because we're a Shadow, and the Umbreon here, look at these foul plays, they're not doing anything at this point. So I actually think we could take one more move and just commit to the farm down, have a couple of surfs ready, and we probably got rid of the biggest threat to Giratina as well. So this is looking absolutely fantastic for us. You know, a lot of people think that Talonflame is a problem for this team. It really is not a problem, especially if it's in the lead. So here, you never want to shield. Actually, okay, this is a different situation. You do want to shield the first move if they're going to swap out. Now, Abomasnow comes in. Abomasnow is a pretty difficult Pokemon for this team. However, I was fascinated to find out that Articuno could actually win this matchup and pretty much just going straight Icy Wind here. So, Icy Wind, I believe, is doing the same amount of damage or more damage than Ancient Power. So you don't want to go for Ancient Power in this particular matchup, even though they do have Ice typing as well. Ancient Power is a very weak move. Icy Wind is the way to go because it does lower the attack on the Abomasnow, and it's pretty much going to be a big factor here. So Talonflame comes in. Now at this point here, the opponent probably going to go for a Flame Charge first because they do still have a shield, and the next Brave Bird would KO. Now I'm at pretty much 3 Dragon Claws here, so I want to get all of this energy off. This is a tight matchup here. The next Dragon Claw actually won't KO, and I let an extra Incinerate go through there, which is absolutely brutal. I don't even know how that went through. And Brave Bird here is probably going to KO, unfortunately, because I let that Incinerate go through. But now their defense drops. So I come for Articuno. I need to farm down because it's a 5-turn move. We're able to do it. We get to the move. Going for the Ancient Power here. Both of the moves KO. It doesn't matter. Ancient Power, I see in this range. They're so low. Both moves are going to KO. It doesn't matter which one you pick. I was just excited to pull off that crazy win right there. And you guys saw Talonflame. I think we have another Talonflame battle here. Yes, we do. So another Talonflame match. So once again, what we're going to do is swap out immediately into Lapras. That's what you want to do. Lapras and Giratina both beat Talonflame. Opponent comes with Poliwrath. Now this is a rough matchup. And there's no point investing in shields here because you're going to lose this matchup regardless. But what you do want to do is go for that Skull Bash right here. So, like I said, they pretty much never shield Skull Bash. And look at all that damage. That's absolutely incredible for us. And I'm going to get to a Surf here. Dynamic Punch will KO, but look at this. Opponent goes for Ice Punch. Allows me to get to the Surf. If they don't shield this, we're actually going to take them out. And they don't. So they give up Switch, which might not be a bad thing for them depending on what they have, of course. They might have wanted to farm with Talonflame, which makes sense. In this particular matchup, I chose not to shield here. They could have went for Brave Bird because they have the opportunity to swap out. So I think this one here might be Brave Bird possibly. So I do shield. It is the Brave Bird, and it was CMP tie, so we did force that there, which means they're probably gonna have to shield this with the lower defense. They do swap out into Giratina. I'm throwing the Dragon Claw here for chip damage because remember, I don't have Ice Beam, so I want to make this match. Oh wait, no, I have Articuno. Okay, so I didn't need to throw the Dragon Claw there. I guess it was just out of habit. I definitely did not need to throw the Dragon Claw there, but it could help us if it allows me to farm down. You can see I'm undercharging here. So from this point here, we should commit to a straight farm down and have a move ready to throw at the Talonflame. Now, Ancient Power is going to do more damage, but Icy Wind guarantees the attack debuff and they don't have any more Pokemon. So I do go for the Icy Wind here. I think that's the correct play. Now I bring in Giratina, and at this point, Brave Bird will not KO, but we have to shield anyways. It would be very close, but just shield there. You have to be safe because we're one Shadow Claw away, so you have to shield that and just get off the Shadow Claw, win the game. So those are the Talonflame leads. M. Guerrero in the next matchup. We got Articuno into Lapras. Now this is a horrible lead, and basically the only way you can play this is either stay in with Articuno, go Ancient Power, or swap out into Lapras. Now the problem with swapping out into Lapras here is if they have another counter for Lapras in the back, you're gonna lose. Now look at this. I build it to Skull Bash and I throw the Surf. So have you ever seen somebody build it to Skull Bash and go for the bait to say, hey, I don't have Skull Bash, right? Because I shielded their first move when they built up to just in case. And now there's no way they go for Surf first and then Skull Bash, and there it is, boom, Skull Bash. So is that 5 head? Probably not. But if they did, I don't know. I mean, if they shielded the first Skull Bash, right, because I built up to it, then it would be brutal. But you guarantee they won't shield the second one if you throw the Surf first. So a little bit of mind games there. And at this point, notice they're staying in here. So I throw the Surf and I undercharge because I want to get some more farm. But they actually shield, which tells me they must be extremely weak to Lapras in the back. And this isn't going to KO anyway, so it's pretty much a waste of a shield on their part. They swap out into Swampert. And I'm going to choose to throw 2 Surfs here. And because of these Skull Bash boost, they pretty much can't farm me down before taking 2 Surfs to the face. So I'm going to let them do that. They do give up the second shield. And they are able to farm me down. At this point, I'm going to come in with probably the Giratina at this point, I'd imagine. Yeah, I'm going to come with Giratina. Main reason because since they appear to be very weak to Lapras, I assume they're going to be weak to the Articuno as well. So coming in with Giratina to soak the damage. Articuno does still take quite a bit of damage from the Hydro Cannon. Swap out now. The Lapras comes back in, able to farm it down, and the opponent backs out of the matchup. So they probably did have something weak to the Articuno back, possibly Giratina. Maybe something like Togekiss, but they were definitely weak to Ice, it looked like. So next matchup, Articuno mirror match here, and you can see we start off with some desync. So unfortunately, it looks like we might be behind slightly in energy here, and the opponent goes for Ancient Power. Most of the time, opponents aren't running Ancient Power, and I hate this when they sneak in the extra move here. Basically, if you don't get CMP tied, they're gonna get in the extra move every time, which is pretty brutal. And you can see now they're ahead on energy, so there's no point for me to shield here. And they should go for Ancient Power, but they actually go for Icy Wind, which is a mistake on their part because I should be able to get to the next move there, but unfortunately for me, I was not able to. So they're at a huge advantage now. So I come with Lapras here. I'm going to get Icy Wind, of course, but we have Skull Bash. So if it's a mirror team, we're looking good right now. We farm down, we get a big energy lead. We see a Machamp come in. Now this is a tricky spot. So I go for Skull Bash here. The opponent knows I'm debuffed, so they're less likely to shield that. They let it go through. It's a Giratina in the back. Now at this point, I know my win condition is actually not having Giratina on the Machamp. The win condition here is getting their shields and getting it to a shields down situation where I could outpace the Machamp to a Surf and win the game. So what I'm thinking here is, okay, if the opponent shielded once, maybe if I shield here, they'll also shield because they're probably thinking that I want to keep my Giratina alive for their Machamp. So if I throw the Dragonfly here and get their second shield because they think I want to keep this alive for Machamp, I could swap out to Lapras. They're going to get to a move, but I have my shield still. So I save this. And now I beat them to the Surf. This knocks out the Machamp. And now Lapras will be able to finish off the Giratina. So that right there was the win condition. The win condition was reading what the opponent was thinking, which was that he thought I needed my Giratina alive to beat the Machamp. That was not the case. What I needed was a shield for the Lapras in order to take out the Machamp and then finish off the game against the Giratina. So these are things that you have to decide in the moment. Sometimes they're not easy to pick up on, but those are win conditions that you really need to take advantage of. So next matchup, we got Swampert here. Like I said in an earlier battle, you don't need to shield anything here. You only shield if the opponent shields. You match shields. That's all. So a lot of people comment about the Shadow Swampert. Does it play out the same because it does more damage to the Hydro Cannons? It plays out exactly the same. Opponent swaps down to Snorlax here. In this particular matchup, I do not like staying in to throw the Icy Wind unless you know for a fact that you could beat it to the Body Slam. So as you can see, I was not able to do that. I think this is a mistake on my part. If I had a bigger energy lead and I could get to the Icy Wind comfortably, I think it's worth it. But if you're not going to beat it to the Body Slam, if it's going to be CMP tie, you may as well just swap out into Lapras immediately. Lapras in general does have a pretty good matchup against Snorlax here. So look at this. I'm going for the Skull Bash. This should be enough to KO the Snorlax. They never shield the Skull Bash, of course. More people watching the video seeing I am running Skull Bash now. That's going to change, but this could benefit a lot of you who are choosing to use this team because now people are gonna have to guess, are you running Skull Bash or Surf? Because they know that both are viable. So it's gonna help out a lot of people, I think, making opponents second guess situations here. See, Registeel comes in, goes for the Focus Blast, does knock me out. I come in with the Giratina, and this match is definitely not over yet, but it's looking pretty favorable for us at the moment. The Articuno, of course, is low in energy, so still have to worry about that Swampert as well. Going to throw the Shadow Sneak right here, and at some point I think I will swap out into my Articuno to either force this Registeel to throw energy or to bring the Swampert up. So I do come in for Articuno here, and we catch the move. This is huge because now they're drawing energy. They take out the Articuno as well, which means I come back in with the Giratina here. I still have 2 shields. This Shadow Sneak should be enough to KO. I actually don't know why I undercharged here because their switch timer, they're not locked in that match, so I should be going for the KO there. No reason to leave it alive. I was thinking I could farm, but there's no way they'll farm if their switch timer is not locked. So big mistake right there. And at this point, I know it's a Hydro Cannon, but I could comfortably farm down here at this point. They're not going to be able to get to an Earthquake. Maybe one more Hydro Cannon's not going to KO. So that's pretty much the win condition there. Just shield up, even knowing it is a Hydro Cannon. And at this point, it comes through. Doesn't matter. We have a move ready. The Registeel is very low. We have about 2 moves ready actually. So even if they had a shield left, we would be able to take this game. And that's another win against a Swampert lead. Next match, we got Jfrvst here. Shout out to Jfrvst. This is a local player, I guess you could say, and mentioned that had never seen himself in one of my videos. So I told him next time we battle, I'll put it in for sure. And here it is. He has his trusty Blastoise lead, best buddy. This is a very bad lead for Articuno, so I do actually shield this. I'm going to swap out into Lapras. Now, I'm not sure if he is aware that my Lapras has Skull Bash or not. I know he knows my Lapras is Ice Beam, but I don't think he's ever seen the Shadow one before. So this is looking pretty good for me if he is not aware that I'm running Skull Bash. So I go for that immediately, and boom, it lands. The Blastoise now not going to be doing as much damage with these Hydro Cannons, tanking these very well, and swaps out into Giratina. Now, his Giratina runs Ancient Power, and I know for a fact if he knew my Giratina, if he knew my Lapras was running Skull Bash, he would have probably swapped out immediately into the Giratina here. So I think I benefited a little bit from that, and him, I anticipate not knowing what the moveset was here. And you can see, tried farming down, but these Ice Shards are chunking away, forced to throw energy here. Dragon Claw comes through. Now I know it's Ancient Power Giratina, so I bring in my own Giratina to soak this damage. Do not want the Articuno taking that. I have learned from battles in the past, able to farm down there, and things are looking pretty good, but there's still a Granbull in the back. So I'm going to throw a Shadow Sneak here, and then I believe I will swap out into my Articuno. I have an Icy Wind ready. This is really nice. This is why we shielded against the Blastoise earlier in the match to bank this Icy Wind. You could see having that Icy Wind stored is very nice. And he's not throwing any energy here because he knows that it's going to be debuffed, so he's going to bring in the Blastoise to reset the debuff. I'm hoping I could farm down here, which we are able to do. That gets us to one more Icy Wind. We basically just shield here at this point, and then should be CMP tie. Icy Wind won't KO, but we should be able to farm down here before they get to another move with Charm. So a very good game right there. Shout out to Jfrvst, very strong trainer, and GG's. JPHamNZ here in the next matchup. So we are leading the Articuno once again, this time into an Umbreon. So Umbreon XL, again, another Pokemon a lot of you have questions about. And once again, this is a matchup that Articuno can win in all shield situations, including the Zero. So I don't like shielding unless the opponent starts shielding. So I'm just going to go straight Icy Wind here. A lot of times they actually do swap out this match. As you can see here, that's what they do. Bring in Charizard. Gonna go for the Ancient Power here. A lot of times they do not shield this, let it go through. And I come in with Giratina. The reason I come with Giratina is because I have such a poor matchup against the Umbreon. And notice what I'm going to do here. I'm actually letting the Charizard get me extremely low. I know that this is not going to KO, and it'll be CMP tie here. And now they're very unlikely to shield this. So there is very minimal farm now left for the Umbreon. I'm going to get off a Dragon Claw. They get off maybe 1 or 2 Snarls. That's best case scenario. That is what I wanted to happen. So if they have a Steel type in the back, now of course it's going to get a little bit difficult because I gave up my Giratina already. But I'm banking on the fact that they do not. So I come in with Lapras here. Foul Play comes through, and they bring in a Talonflame. So this is actually incredible for me. And I'm going to shield up here. I'd rather see this Talonflame come out now than later. And we have 2 Surfs ready. Going to throw the first one here. and I'm hoping I could actually outpace it to the third. So going to shield this up, and I believe we can get to 2 more serves here before they get to 1 more move. So if the opponent's not at a move here, they probably shouldn't shield this. However, they probably were unaware of how much energy I actually had, and that shield goes to waste. The surf comes through, we take that out. At the same time, I guess it's not a horrible situation for them, because now it's going to be Umbreon versus Articuno, and they probably felt that if my Lapras was dry in energy, maybe they had a better chance. So we come in here, I get the extra Ice Shard in, Foul Play comes through, not going to KO. I need to get to this Icy Wind. Even if this Icy Wind does not KO, what this guarantees is that the next move is not going to KO against me. And look at this, they get to a move, we have the Ice Shard go through. Are we going to survive the last resort? Oh my goodness, Ice Shard goes through. We win that game. Crazy game right there. Super fun. And we take the battle against the Umbreon lead. Hayutama 0529 in the next matchup. We got Articuno into Cresselia. So again, another tricky matchup, mostly because you have to shield this if you want to win. So it's not optimal. I usually do shield the first one. If they go for Grass Knot, I feel that's a mistake on the opponent's part, because it's only 1 turn of energy you save, doesn't flip the matchup in any way, and you miss out on getting the potential debuff with the Moonblast. So if they go for Grass Knot, actually you should be pretty happy about that. So we go for the Icy Wind here. Opponent comes in with Umbreon, swap out into Lapras. And once again, I think we'll build up for the Skull Bash here. Sneaking in those extra Ice Shards is really nice, because it could actually make them lose track on the count. So you can see we sneaked in an extra one there. Another Foul Play, and I'm going to go for the Skull Bash here. Now if they shield this, it could be a little bit problematic maybe. Might flip the matchup a little bit, maybe not, but going to go, because we'll get to a second Skull Bash anyways. So Foul Play comes through, you can see, as long as we shield, we should be fine. Going for the Surf. We don't have to shield in this particular matchup, like this match is over right here. But I'm saying if they were to shield a Skull Bash, for example. Obstagoon comes in, this is not good. Obstagoon is a problem, going to go for the Surf right here. Obstagoon destroys the Giratina. They have a shield advantage coming with Articuno. Don't want to shield here. Reason I'm not shielding is just in case they get the Night Slash boost. I want to shield the one that's doing more damage. So going for the Icy Wind right here. And that does get a shield. Makes sense for them to be shielding here, especially if they know what my team is. They swap out into Cresselia. This is not good right here. I'm going to shield up and swap out into my Giratina. I had the Icy Wind stored for the Obstagoon though. That's more important than throwing against this Cresselia here. I can survive a Moonblast. And I actually decided to go for the farm down here. Just fall a little bit short. That's kind of a blow for us, because now we are in the Night Slash range, which is horrible. We do get off 1 Dragon Claw, but unfortunately I don't think we'll be able to get off the second one here. So that Moonblast landing definitely affected the match. Maybe I should have just thrown the Dragon Claw at the Cresselia, but either way, I do have this Icy Wind stored here, which means we won't get knocked out from the next Night Slash. And now it comes down to a race to who will get to the next move after this Night Slash lands, because this is not going to KO. Can I outpace this Obstagoon? Yes, we can, probably just by a hair right there. Going to take this matchup, and we win that game against a very difficult backline. So the Cresselia lead in particular, sometimes I will not shield the first move if I suspect them to swap out, but that really comes down to you knowing the opponent's team. Gyarados lead right here. Now this is an interesting one, because there's a misconception from people that you need to shield the first move from Gyarados to win this. That is not true at all, and whoever is feeding you that information is trying to mislead you. Articuno wins this in the 0 shields. The Gyarados needs to shield once in order to win this. It doesn't matter if they go Aqua Tail or Crunch. The Gyarados is the one that needs to shield if they want to win past the 0 shields. So the way that the Gyarados could win in the 0s if you don't shield is if they shield right here. And then, of course, they could farm down. That's how the Gyarados wins if the Articuno doesn't shield. But depending on what they have in the back, you might not mind that, to be honest. So we win in the 0 shields. Umbreon comes in, going to throw the Icy Wind right here. And I'm just gonna let it take me out, and then we're gonna come in with the Lapras. Now, if they did win switch advantage there, of course, could be a little problematic. So that's kind of why it makes sense as to why you want to shield with the Articuno sometimes versus the Gyarados. However, I don't like shielding the first one, especially if they're throwing Aqua Tail, although Aqua Tail is more energy efficient. So going straight Aqua Tail kind of makes sense too in the particular matchup. However, yeah, like with this particular lineup right here, I'm just coming with Giratina now. And I'm going to throw the Dragon Claws, hoping this actually KOs because I don't want to take a potential Blizzard, which it does. Umbreon comes in. At this point, I just want to do chip damage here and likely finish this game off with the Lapras. So probably won't shield anything here at the moment. I'm not planning to shield, but we'll see how it gets closer towards the end. We will survive this foul play. So throwing another Dragon Claw. Whenever I'm in these types of matchups right here, I'm always thinking about when I'm going to shield, when I'm going to swap out. Those kinds of decisions. I said swap out now. This Umbreon's actually running Dark Pulse, which is doing more damage but requires more energy as well. So they will get to the moves a bit slower. And at this point here, I think the play is actually to not throw any energy, just shield up and farm down. So yeah, that's what we're going to do here. We're going to shield. We're not going to throw any energy and just commit to the Ice Shard farm down. So we take that game right there. None of us wanted to use any shields in that game. Save them for Season 11. Dread 500 in the next matchup. This is another Gyarados lead here. And this one's a Shadow Gyarados. So Shadow Gyarados pretty much plays out the same way. But the main difference is the crunch probably going to hurt more. But look here, they didn't even build up for the crunch. So I don't want to shield an Aqua Tail when they make it obvious it's an Aqua Tail. But that could be a strategy in itself on the opponent's part, to be honest. Because damage adds up after, right? So they make you think, oh, I shouldn't shield this, it's only this. But you could see right here. The problem here is that crunch actually now will KO because it is a Shadow. So I decide to shield this. It's only an Aqua Tail, which means it would not have KO'd. And we would have been able to win this in the 0 shields. But instead, I'm going to shield and take a huge energy lead and see what they come in with here. So if they had like a Lapras in the back, for example, if they're running like Home Slice Henry team, you could pretty much win this matchup now guaranteed because you have Skull Bash and Lapras. So it's pretty straightforward at that point. But in this case, it's actually a Swampert. So we get taken out there and I come in with Giratina. They swap out into Stunfisk. And what I decide to do here is actually stay in with the Giratina, and I'm going to save my Lapras to close out this game, finish off the Stunfisk, and take out the Swampert. I think that's what I'm probably planning to do here. So let's see how this works out, because Giratina, although it's not doing much damage to the Stunfisk here, it's still chipping away, and it's also a tank that doesn't take too much damage in return from the Stunfisk, so it's a very long, slow battle. And because of that, I feel that's the best way to play this out. So Earthquake comes through. I'm going to try and get to one more move here. They swap out into Swampert, which I'm actually okay with, because now I'm not going to get farmed down my Mud Shot. And I come in with the Lapras. And at this point here, I'm not going to shield anything because Earthquake isn't going to KO. And I think I could farm down here before they get to another move, which means now I save one shield for the potential Rock Slide. All I need is another Surf, getting the first shield here. The next Surf will KO. So we shield up the Rock Slide here, and as long as I can outpace it to the next Surf, we're going to win this game, which we are able to do here. So Surf comes through. Thankfully, we only needed one Ice Shard. If we needed two, we probably would have ended up losing that match, but we take that game right there. So Gyarados lead, not much of a problem here for Articuno, and let's move into the next one. DarknessDefiant, and this is going to be Articuno into a Politoed lead. Now, Politoed is a Pokemon that has kind of just sort of started appearing this season for Open Ultra League, and it's kind of a problem for this team. It definitely depends on what the moveset is, because of course if it's Blizzard it becomes a threat for Giratina, but it's not as bad for the Lapras Articuno. It still beats Articuno with Blizzard or Earthquake. Or sorry, with Blizzard it's pretty bad for Articuno. Earthquake it's not as bad, but it could still win just going straight Weather Ball. But with Blizzard, it becomes a huge problem for Giratina, and with Earthquake, it becomes kind of a problem with Lapras. So it's kind of hard here to decide what they have, and because they're not throwing any Blizzards here at the Articuno, I'm thinking they might have Earthquake, so I'm going to let them farm me down. Not farm down, they have to throw Weather Ball, can't Mud Shot down. And I could have... No, actually, I think they have another Weather Ball already, so I probably couldn't have shielded and farmed down, so just letting it go there, I think is the right play. And they swap out into Mewtwo, so they wanted to keep their Politoed alive. I believe the Politoed does have a move rate, so they probably wanted to bank it. And I'm okay seeing this, to be honest. Mewtwo comes in, it's switch locked here, so I'm going to stay in with Giratina, of course. Throw the Shadow Sneak. And this is chunking away. We do get to another Shadow Sneak here, and I don't think I'm going to invest any shields at this point against the Mewtwo. So they are going to KO. Okay, so I am going to shield here, just in case they have something in the back that's weak to Giratina. It's actually a Togekiss. So I'm going to throw the Shadow Sneak here and then swap out immediately into Lapras. And because the opponent actually switch locked themselves out of that matchup, If they let the Politoed go down instead, they probably could have ended up winning that match by bringing in the Togekiss, then I'd bring in the Lapras, they'd bring in the Mewtwo, Mewtwo would probably beat the Lapras, and then their Togekiss would pretty much destroy my Giratina, so pretty rough there, but we got pretty lucky. Next matchup, Persiker lead. So last season, everybody seems to be running Iron Head on Persiker, which made it extremely difficult for this team. However, this season, it seems everybody is back to the Foul Play Close Combat moveset, which means it's actually not as bad for Articuno. So I didn't shield anything there, and you know, they swapped out. So I consider that a win for us. Now this is where it gets tricky, because when Politoed comes in, you have to make a guess as to whether or not they have Blizzard or Earthquake. I think they have Blizzard. And of course they have Earthquake, so I kind of wished I brought in the Giratina now instead. But this is fine. I go for the Skull Bash here. They never expect Skull Bash. Boom! Doesn't KO, unfortunately. And the Earthquake comes through. We're going to survive that, of course. And I expect the Persiker to come back in. I should be able to get to a Surf here, I believe. No, maybe not. Yeah, so they're going to throw a move here. Foul Play might KO. It does KO. Okay, wow, even with Skull Bash. So that's pretty unfortunate. And coming to Giratina. Giratina is pretty much the only counter here for Persiker. And it's also not a great counter for Persiker. So Persiker is kind of a core breaker for this team. And it was in the lead. But as you can see, I expect the shield here, so I go for the Dragon Claw. We do get the shield. And now I go for another Dragon Claw here because I didn't think I'd get to the Shadow Sneak before the Foul Play. So they don't shield, which makes sense. I swap out to the Articuno. They bring in Swampert. And I'm going to shield here, I believe, because this Hydro Cannon might KO without being debuffed. I need to get to this debuff. This is the most important part here. Getting to this debuff right here is huge. So now, what this guarantees is that they're going to have to throw 2 Hydro Cannons to KO the Articuno here. And we outpace them to the next Icy Wind, so this might get the next shield. At which point they might try to farm down with Mud Shot. And they'll probably be able to do it here. No, they're not. So I swap out to Giratina. They get farmed down. And here comes Swampert. They reset the debuff. Earthquake's not going to be enough to KO. And we should be able to Shadow Claw down here. Take that game. And there you go. Persiker lead. Very difficult, but not impossible to come back from. So next matchup here, Agent Avocado, 420. And we got Alola Ninetales. This right here is probably the worst lead for this team. And I really have no answer for Ninetales here. So, you know, I can't bring in Giratina, obviously. Loses to Ninetales. I could swap out into Lapras, but that's pretty much my only counter for it. And it's not even like a counter. So I don't want to do that. So I think the best play here is to stay in with the Articuno. You could still chip away at the Ninetales, so it's not like as bad as a Melmetal, for example. But what makes Ninetales difficult is that it beats the entire team almost. So that makes it problematic. So I'm going to let this go through here. Then I'm going to come in with the Lapras and look to commit to a farm down here. Now, of course, if we go for the farm down, there's a potential that we could get hit by a Dazzling Gleam, which on the Shadow is going to do a lot of damage, but I want to save the shield here, so I'll let it go through. Takes out like 50% of my health. They swap out, which is a smart play on their part because they don't want me to get a bunch of energy here. And I throw the Skull Bash. They do shield, which is also a great play. And I swap out, which is the worst mistake I've ever seen. Okay, so we lose this game. So let's just talk about the mistakes we made here. 1, I throw the Skull Bash and then I swap out. I don't know why the heck I would do that. And the match against Suicune is actually really good. Of course, the graphic there was showing with Bubble Beam. Nobody's running Bubble Beam, so it's not as dominant as that. But you could still win against the Hydro Ice Beam pretty comfortably. And I did get the Skull Bash too, so I should have stayed in with the Lapras. Now, the other thing here is, why would I bring in Giratina when Ninetales hard counters it, Suicune counters it, so their third Pokemon is most likely going to be weak to Giratina. And look at that, it's a Meganium. So if I just stayed in with the Lapras onto their Suicune, Giratina might have had the potential to finish this game off in the back. So just a brain fart there at the time of that battle, and very poorly played on my part. A tough lead, of course, but I think we might have had a chance to at least make that game closer. So definitely a misplay there in the Lapras Suicune matchup. Next match, another horrible lead here. This is one of the worst leads you could see too. And here again, I make another mistake. So I swap out into my hard counter to Galvantula, which is something you never want to do. And we get hard countered in return. Now there are usually 2 lines I see with this Galvantula lead. It's either Galvantula Clefable Gyarados or Galvantula Umbreon Fighter. So Both those are obviously very difficult for this team. I actually think this particular lineup is a bit more playable, but what you want to do is stay in with the Articuno in the lead matchup. You're going to lose that match, and against Galvantula, although Ancient Power is super effective, Icy Wind does the same amount of damage as Ancient Power, plus you get the debuff. So you want to go for Icy Wind against Galvantula. Unless I looked at the simulations wrong, but I'm pretty sure Icy Wind does the same amount of damage, which is pretty crazy. So at this point here, oftentimes they go for the lunge, which we call, that's huge. And now I go for the Ancient Power here. I go for Ancient Power because I'm hoping for the boost. I think at this point to win the game, I need the boost. So they do shield that up. And I'm going to go straight for Icy Winds. But we're going to end up losing this game now. There's pretty much nothing we could do. But I think in the lead matchup, if you could lower that Galvantula and then come in with Giratina and farm them down, and then they come with Clefable, if you suspect a Gyarados in the back, staying in with Giratina versus Clefable, getting the Clefable maybe close to the red and then coming with Lapras, could potentially win you the game after against the Gyarados, Lapras versus Gyarados match if you're able to farm down the Clefable. It'll be very close, but I think that's probably how I'm going to try to play out this game if I run into this similar team again, because obviously we misplayed in this one, but I think that's how I would like to play it. Either way, let's move into the next match. This is an Obstagoon lead, I believe. Yeah, so Articuno with Obstagoon. Obstagoon is one of the Pokemon that a lot of you actually asked me about, and once again, this is a matchup that Articuno wins in all shields, provided no boost. So you go for the Ice Wind here, and remember, you want to see Obstagoon in the lead with this team. So this is best case scenario here. Notice I'm not shielding anything. If they shield, then I will shield. We match shields like the Swampert matchup, but you do not want to shield first. So I throw the Icy Wind here. We're going to survive this Night Slash. People will shield here in fear that they don't survive. If your IVs are pretty much standard, you're going to survive, able to farm down. Most of the time you will get to the move there. This time we didn't, which is unfortunate. So Charizard comes in, going to come in with Lapras. They did build enough for the Blastoise, so I'm going to shield, although they usually do bait, which they do. I'm going to throw the Surf here. Now I'm expecting them to throw the Blastoise after baiting, so I'm going to try and catch that onto the Giratina here, which we did manage to catch, but is it going to be a Blastoise is the question. They went for another bait against the Lapras, so they bring out Togekiss here. Now I'm kind of stuck in this matchup, so this isn't looking good, but instead of worrying here, what you have to think is, hold on, we have Lapras, they have Charizard. If we come in, save our shield, farm down this Togekiss, what are we going to be able to do? We're going to be able to throw back-to-back Surfs at the Charizard. Now we can't shield here, because this move does not KO. We're able to farm down before they get to another move, and the Charizard can knock us out with their move. So this is why we need to save the shield here, in case they get a move like this. Blastoise would be more difficult, of course, because we'd have more health if we did shield the Togekiss, but back-to-back Surfs ready there. First one would get the shield, second one would KO. They decide just let it go through. We take that game. And this is the final battle of the video, I believe. We got Articuno into another Obstagoon lead. So in the first matchup, we saw how it plays out when both Pokemon stay in, no boost. I believe in this matchup, this is what happens when the Obstagoon switches out. So let's see how this plays out here. Obstagoon's going to throw the Night Slash. We're not going to shield. We're going to throw the Icy Wind and no boost. So because there's no boost, they shield, which was interesting. And I'm going to build up for the Icy Wind, throw it at the Cresselia, because I'm down to shield. Actually, no, I'm up a shield. So I'm going to throw the Icy Wind, swap out into Giratina. This is actually a much better situation than I could have asked for. And Moonblast comes through. It's another debuff, so we don't have to shield up this Giratina here. What I want to do is have Dragon Claw ready to throw at the Obstagoon. But we need that Articuno for their Obstagoon. We need shield advantage, because they have more health than us. So I was going for the farm now, but I was counting they would get to a move here, so I decided to throw the Dragon Claw. This is going to knock out the Cresselia. Now Obstagoon's going to come back in. It shouldn't be on a move yet, so I'm going to throw the Dragon Claw. They can't really farm down here, so they are going to throw the Night Slash. And this is going to knock us out, at which point I'm going to come back in with Articuno. We have a shield advantage. So at some point here, we are going to have to start shielding. I'll probably shield this one, yep. Now we're even on shields. I have an Icy Wind ready. Let's see if they swap out. They do not swap out, so I throw the Icy Wind here. I need to keep this Obstagoon away from the Lapras. They shield again. They swap out into Gengar. So this is the Psionic team. And leaving 0 shields in the back for your Gengar is very, very dangerous. So we take that Shadow Ball. I'm going to throw the Surf here. This is going to knock out the Gengar. I tried to undercharge to get a couple more Ice Shards while lowering my health. Not able to do that, so the Obstagoon does get to a move. And now it's going to be a race. Need to shield this. If I could get to this Icy Wind, this is going to... I think this should knock out the Obstagoon. If not, it's going to lower the health. It does knock it out. Take that game. And those were the battles for the video. So those were the battles with the double ice strategy. Hope you guys really enjoyed the video there. It did take me quite a while to put this together, so I apologize for the delay in uploading it, but those are the 6 sets. You could see my rating going up in the background right there. We went from 2820 to 3086 in only 6 sets. So pretty much reaching legend in a day. What I wanted this video to show you is that the team does still work. Not only that, but the team can get you to legend if you want to invest your time into understanding it and learning the team. If you guys have any questions regarding this team, please feel free to leave them down in the comments section below. I'll answer any question you guys have. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, commenting, subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.